It's like I'm walking on sunshine.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is DoomCast number 26. Doug Owen here with you alongside Charlie McGrath, the co-founder of this fine podcast. You can find it at DoomCast.com. Our handle on Twitter is DoomCast Show, appropriately. And this is our weekly get-together. My good friend Charlie McGrath and I like to catch up.
I got a gun.
Whoa.
What? I got a gun.
You got a gun?
I got a new gun.
Ooh, exciting. All right. Hold on. Let me cue this. All right. So I'm excited. Tell me about the gun.
Oh, I got a new gun. I'm very, very excited about it.
Are you excited? So. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to shoot it.
You haven't shot it yet? How can you buy? Isn't that funny? We buy guns, maybe, hypothetically, without trying them. I mean, you wouldn't buy a car or even, a wife without trying it out at least once.
Yeah, I don't know if you should ever buy a wife. I don't know if that's really that cool.
Oh, you're always buying something, my friend. You're always buying something, and something's always being sold.
You know what? Here's the deal. This is 26, right? So this is 6 months. Happy anniversary, Doug Owen.
Happy anniversary.
Back at you. Yeah, really, here's the difference between a car or other things, other purchases you might make that you would have to try it out first. First of all, a lot of cases you can go shoot the thing, or they have one you can shoot. But guns are a little bit different. I mean, if you have a particular gun in mind, there is absolutely no end to the amount of research that somebody has done on it.
Right.
If you, pick your poison, type it into YouTube, and you will find 50 billion people who have done reviews on it. And you'll learn everything pros and cons, up one side, down the other. And I would really recommend that if somebody was thinking about buying themselves, a honey badger, like we talked last week, if you could.
Yeah.
Then go on YouTube and find out what people are saying about it. And
I want a real honey badger.
I do too. They're cute.
Yes, they are cute.
I want a honey badger for like instead of a watchdog.
Yeah.
Have that bastard sitting at the front step.
People would think twice about it.
Yeah, they would. They're not going to mess with the badger, the honey badger.
No.
They'll eat, they'll eat cobras. They're not going to be.
So what kind of gun is it? What's
all right,
the caliber?
Here's what I got. And I was going to do a video, like an opening. Have you seen those on YouTube where they do the?
Are you even allowed to do that on YouTube?
Absolutely.
Is that okay? I figured that might be against the terms and conditions.
No,
else.
No, man. There's more gun videos on YouTube than any other type of video, except for maybe like twerking.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. There's people that make. There's some YouTube channels, with 1 million subscribers, that's how they make their living, is doing gun reviews on YouTube. And shooting at the range, opening the box, blah blah blah, tearing it down. Absolutely, there's that's a huge community on YouTube. And I was gonna do a video where I showed this coming out of the box, but then I thought, wait a minute, that's not me. I don't do that. I don't do the gun thing on YouTube. But anyway, what I got was. Are you familiar with handguns at all, Doug Owen, fellow Doomer?
Yes. I mean, as much as I guess most people that are aware of handguns and have looked at them before, that have owned them in the past. I mean, I'm not an aficionado or an expert.
I'm going to go with no.
No, I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not like up on the hottest, newest thing, but I understand different calibers.
All right. You have a general knowledge of handguns. Okay.
Yes.
Well, for a long time, I've wanted, first of all, those that have followed me on YouTube or the radio program, I've said in the past that I believe that the most valuable caliber you can own. Now, look, if you have a problem with what I'm about to say, go ahead and email me at info@wideawakenews.com. We'll talk about it on DoomCast 27, because this subject, along with politics and religion, pisses the most people off. Right up there with them. Talk about their guns and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, this is just my personal opinion. I grew up in Montana. I grew up shooting. And to me, the absolute most convenient, useful, fun, all-around good caliber is a .22 long rifle.
Mm-hmm.
For the simple reason that I can buy, well, if you can find it, you can buy 500 rounds for almost nothing. You can shoot it in a multitude of different weapons, either bolt action 22 long rifles, semi-automatic. You can put it in revolver pistols. You can put it in automatic. There's just a ton of different things you can do with that caliber. And it's quiet. It's stealthy. It's just a fun plinking round. And what hit the fan? It's a good all around, survival caliber, because there's really nothing you can't kill with it. And there's, nothing that's too small. You're not going to blow it to pieces like you would shooting something with a 308 or a 30-06. It's just a very, very convenient, comfortable, and anybody can shoot it. I don't care if you're 5 years old or 100 years old, you can pick up a 22 and shoot it. But all that being said, I have several 22s. I have two 22 pistols, which are revolvers. I have a couple 22 rifles. One's a semi-automatic, one's an old bolt action. But I've always wanted one of the nicer Ruger target pistols. And for a long time, the Premier, at least as Ruger is concerned, some people might think the Browning one's better. I do not. The Premier was the Ruger Mark II, and then the Mark III Hunter, which is a very, very heavy pistol. But they came out here a few years back with a Ruger Mark III 2245 lightweight. Now, what all that means is it's a Mark III. So it has the bull barrel. It has the features of a Mark III. The 2245 indicates it's a 22 caliber, but it has a 45, the 1911 style hand grip on it. So the angle of the hand grip is that of a 1911. So 2245, and then the lightweight, it's an aluminum barrel with a steel core, a steel barrel insert. So I am just absolutely tickled to death. I finally went out and picked one up. And tomorrow night, I'll be taking it to the range for the first time. And for those of you who are really interested, I put a Burris Fastfire 3 red dot across the top of it. So we're going to be trying that puppy out tomorrow.
Cute little Barbie doll accessories. That's nice.
Just shut your mouth, Doug Owen. I will come down there and I will unleash 2245 madness in your world.
Yeah, I actually my dad had a Mark II. Mm-hmm. That's what I started on. In the early 80s, so yeah. Very, very, very good gun, and they're fun to shoot, and they're cheap to shoot, and they're not much of a looker. They're not really like I haven't seen the new ones, but his, it was it looked like a really old German gun.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's not one that's it's not flashy. People would not wouldn't think that they'd look cool with it. It's not like a fashionable gun, but it's a great gun.
Yeah, and the Mark IIs, the Mark II Hunter, the Mark III Hunter. They have a very, very aggressive angle on the pistol grip, and that's probably what you remember. Mm-hmm. Is a super slanted pistol grip, kind of freaky looking deal.
Oh yeah.
And the 2245s, there's the same upper, just the lower portion is more just like a regular 1911, like a 45 caliber, and they're still not. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm holding it in my hand right now. This beautiful weapon in my hand, and you're right, they're not that good looking of a gun. They're really not. But they are, but to people that know what they are, they appreciate it. People that judge box wine, there's actually some pretty good box wines. But you look at it and it's got that. It's not a looker, people. It's not a looker. That's all I can say about it. But it's a great gun. We should, oh my God! You know what I'm going to do?
See, I have a gun that it's a 22 as well. It's a Smith & Wesson M&P 22, and I don't mind saying it because the government knows that I have this one. So
of course they do.
This is one that I went to the sporting goods store. But if you look up Smith & Wesson M&P, which is military and police 22, it looks like an AR-15 with a quad rail, but it's a 22, and it has a big clip, but it's an oversized clip, but it has little 22 shells in there. Fun. Looks like you have a 243 caliber. Or it looks 223. Like 223. It looks like a AR-15. It's pretty cool.
I'm looking at a picture of it right now. I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Now, see, that's a looker. Not much. Now, people are surprised how quiet it is, and looking at it, they're like, "Is that a 22?" But it's the exact opposite. It's a gun that looks really, really big and ferocious, but it's got a 4-cylinder.
It's got a 2-stroke in it. Well, the thing about that is there's a lot of people who have an AR-15, myself included, the regular 223 or 5.56 millimeter, and it's expensive to shoot that thing compared to a 22.
Very.
Yeah. So I can actually go out and buy a bolt conversion for my AR-15 that it's a bolt with basically it looks like a bullet attached to the end of the bolt. And what it does is it allows me to fire 22 rounds down the same barrel as my AR-15, and because it's the same diameter, a 22 caliber bullet and a 5.56 millimeter round out of an AR-15 is the exact same diameter, so you can shoot them all day long if you have the right bolt. But I don't think there's anything wrong with getting that M&P that you got. In fact, we took my
the Freedom Eagle. Heard you talking about it. Go ahead.
You hear the AR-15, that makes the Eagle scream. My kid's 1022, which is a Ruger, a staple, the most popular 22 rifle ever made. And there's a billion conversion kits for them. We made his look like a little assault rifle, and so they're fun, and they're just a fun caliber, fun gun. So there it is. There's the gun review on. Well, I can't review it because I haven't shot yet.
With Doug and Charlie.
That's right. Gun talk.
Conjecture on this side, maybe a little knowledge on the other.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? So here's what I'm going to do. You know how I pick a picture every week and you don't know what I'm going to put up for the DoomCast picture?
Yes. I like
Guess what it's going to be this week?
You holding a gun?
Yeah. Yeah, baby. It's going to be the gun. I'm going to show the gun. That will be the cover picture.
The gun.
Yeah. And maybe when I go to the range tomorrow, I'll bring the camera and maybe video that a little bit. We could talk about it.
Speaking of videos, we'll segue right into some scummy people. I don't know if you saw this today, but this viral video, it was all over the place. It was even in the mainstream media.
Because it's a dog all day, I didn't see anything. Tell me about it.
You didn't see anything? Oh, man. There's this guy, Michael Grimm. He's a Republican. I think it's Staten Island. Well, the long short of it, I've got the video clip here. I don't even know. I didn't even think that I would play this just because it's been everywhere. So some of the people are probably irked. But here you go. This is what happened on camera with this reporter who is going to have his moment. This is probably the biggest moment in his life ever because of how viral this has become in just a matter of hours. But here you go.
Ended on a disturbing note with Grimm physically threatening Michael. We're going to show you how the interview ended.
And just finally, before we let you go, since we have you here, we haven't had a chance to kind of talk about some of the...
I'm not talking about anything that's off topic. This is only about the president.
Well, what about... All right, so Congressman Michael Grimm does not want to talk about some of the allegations concerning his campaign finances. We wanted to get him on camera on that, but he, as you saw, refused to talk about that. Back to you.
So he comes back over. He comes back over to him, and you can't really hear it here, but...
Is this going to throw you off the balcony thing?
Yeah, he's going to throw the guy off the balcony. And it's pretty funny because it just shows you the hubris in these people and how out of touch they are. To threaten somebody on camera immediately after doing a live interview and telling him that he's going to kill him. Somebody in the media, it's just not very smart. So the mainstream media has been having a field day with this guy. I guess he's not very well connected, and the fact that his name is Grimm is kind of ironic because I believe that some people just live up to their names and they're very accurate.
Me too, like Boguslawski.
Like Boguslawski. We're the only ones that are talking about Boguslawski. He's falling back into the memory hole. But he's gonna hear about what happened to him in the future.
So what we got a congressman here that just thinks he's all that because he's got a little lapel pin that says he's a congressman and he doesn't like what this reporter's asking, so he's going to flex his congressman muscle and look like an idiot, and he'll be the sizzling topic in establishment media for a couple hours, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, this is kind of Jersey Shore mob feel to it. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I take it back because I did hear about that. I even read a little bit about it this morning, but I'm kind of like you. I was like, whatever. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. The guy's name was Grimm.
He's a grim dude. Speaking of politicians that are chock full of hubris and who want to lie to you at every turn and who are stabbing the American people in the back, this is pretty much the part and parcel
so many people that could be.
Yeah, well, it's a part and parcel for the mainstream establishment. Those are such overused terms. Let me explain what I mean. The folks in D.C., 535 folks in D.C. that call themselves representatives of one form. They're either a congressman or they're a senator. 535 of them. If I had to pick a number, I would say that half of them, let's say half, and I'm probably being a little conservative when I say that, but half of them are probably really, really good people. Maybe even 2/3 are really good people.
Really?
I believe that. Sure.
Really?
I believe that. I do believe that. I think most of them go there with good intentions. They go there thinking they're being called by God or whatever their reason for going. At least the people that I would consider to have honest reasons for going. And they go there and they either are disenfranchised, disillusioned, and they're there for a term or two and then they're gone, or this is the big other, or the people that stay there long enough to amass power, and this is the crux, right, of the biscuit. You have to be there forever in order to amass the kind of power that the people at the top echelons of this political elite class have. You got to be there forever, and if you're there forever, the 2/3 number that I'm picking randomly out of the air that are good intentioned and are good decent people, I believe that dramatically falls down to about 0.1% of the folks that stay there long enough to make it a lifelong career are there for the right reason, which is serving their constituency. I believe when they get to that point of power, they are so corrupt, they're so indebted to so many corporate entities that the last thing that they do in the day is truly represent the people in their back in their district. So when we see something like the State of the Union last night, and we see
I did not see a bit of it. I didn't watch 1 second. I have no idea. I've only read criticisms or saw headlines. let me rephrase. I've only read headlines about it, but because I don't know. I mean, he never tells the truth anyway. I mean, I'm sure there's some important messaging and some probably things to take away from it, but yeah.
I don't blame you for not wanting to watch it. I really don't. But I'm kind of a geek like that. I'll watch C-SPAN as well because I just it's kind of like watching a train wreck. It's kind of like you want to turn your head but you can't type of thing.
Right.
But my problem is, Doug, is when I am watching something like that, I'll focus in on one thing. And I just had Suzanne Posel on my radio program, and she made a great point about locking on to, if you lock on to one thing and you don't allow yourself to really observe the entire picture. And in a nutshell, what she was getting at was if you're sitting around waiting for the next financial collapse and you've staked everything you are on the prediction of the next financial collapse, or nothing works in your plan, nothing works in what you've described or projected to your audience that doesn't involve an economic collapse, then you've tied yourself to an anchor and you will miss a lot of what's going on before your eyes, waiting for this big event that you predicted or you think is going to happen. So,
right.
So sometimes
life goes by while you're waiting for something to happen,
Right, and then the one thing that you're waiting to happen never happens. But everything, I mean, it still all went to a big pile of steamy crap. Everything ended up horrible,
right,
in a doomy kind of way. But it just didn't get there the way you thought it would, so you end up missing the boat. And I am absolutely guilty of that when it comes to monitoring events like the State of the Union or other political other opportunities used by politicians to sell an agenda. The previous one I can remember is the Newtown tragedy. When the president came on, all I heard was gun control. That's it. That's all I heard. I heard that we have to step up and do a better job and blah, blah, blah. And it's gun control, gun control, gun control, gun control. That's all I heard. So, did I miss something in there? I don't know, but I certainly could have, because my focus was on, look at this guy. He's coming to take our guns. And we all know how much I love guns because I just talked about it. Right. So,
right. But a lot of people, they've been coming to get the guns for a long time, and so if you just keep waiting for them to do that rather than being proactive,
right,
you might wait your whole life before they come and get your gun. Now, there's some people that they're coming for their guns because they've already legislated their ability to own them away,
Right.
Felonies or felons rather, people that have felonies. I still, I'm a purist. I believe that you have a
Pay
right
for your
to
crime.
You have a right to be able to protect yourself, and if the system is let you go for whatever reason, you should be able to own a firearm. There's nothing in the Constitution about felonious acts, or you have the right to bear arms if the government says so. So I mean, so I would say I'm more of an extremist when it comes to that.
I'm with you 100% on that. If you're a murderer, right. and seriously, I mean,
you shouldn't be. If you're a murderer, then you should either be in prison, you should not be alive, or you should be rehabilitated, ideally. And that's what the state, and that's why we're spending so much money, upwards of $65,000 per year to rehabilitate people and put them back on the streets. So,
okay, listen, murderer. If you're a murderer,
yeah,
they'll go with murderer.
And
you're sentenced to what? Let's just pick a number. Let's say 15 years. Whatever the circumstances were, you're convicted of murder in the second degree or whatever. You get 15 years in prison, and you serve your time in prison, and you walk out that door serving your sentence to humanity. You've served the penalty to the state that is required of you. Then what makes you shouldn't lose your ability to be protected under the Constitution of the United States. You don't lose your inalienable rights. The natural law doesn't stop working.
I guess you lose your right to vote. You have to pay taxes the rest of your life, but you're not allowed to pick your. Oh, I mean,
that's crap. That's crap. You should be able to vote. You should be able to own a gun. You should be able to, if you paid your penalty.
And if they can't be citizens and they can't be whole again, then how can you expect them to be able to,
to contribute?
Yeah.
How can you expect them to contribute?
This kind of is a great segue into something I do want to talk about that's going to be a hot button issue. It already is minimum wage. Minimum wage. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about the minimum wage. We have a few campaigns in California. There is, I think, a senator or representative that's pushing for $15 an hour minimum wage. There's also the 10-10 movement, moving it to 10-10. There's people in the libertarian community that really think that this is going to be a huge issue. This is going to create massive amounts of unemployment and have these dire consequences. So some, that, are pretty foreboding, pretty doomy predictions. On the other end of it, we see the obvious welfare, the fact that we're spending $8 billion a year to subsidize these people that are working for these wages. Right. So there's two sides to that. What are your thoughts? I've never really asked you about what you think of the minimum wage.
I would, I would have to say that I'm against the government setting any wage high or low. I'm against the government stepping in and telling a businessman, if you're running your Dougie Doomy Owen electrical company, I don't think it's the government's place to go to you and say, you have to pay Charlie X number of dollars an hour to go to work for you. I mean,
they do that sometimes. Government work, they will have a minimum mandatory wage.
It's at the Bacon Davis
scale.
Wage, scale
wages and stuff. But
sure,
that's government again making those kind of extortions.
Yeah, and so you gotta. I guess there's my answer. I'm for less government across the board. I don't think they should be telling me what I should be paying, what I should get paid, or what this company that I work for should be paying me. If you get into the topic of unions, that's kind of different because it's actually the workers coming together as a coalition saying, we're going to have this amount of wage in this union shop. And to me, that's different than government. Now that, of course, that is probably just underneath guns as far as when it's a topic that's going to be brought up to make people really, really mad, which is unions or union or non-union. But the question being, do I believe in a minimum wage? I do not believe in a minimum wage.
Okay, that's a long way around, but we've got there. You don't believe in a minimum wage.
I don't.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there's the proponents. You? Well, I don't believe that the minimum wage is actually really an issue because the people that are getting paid less are illegal aliens, and now they're pushing for amnesty. Did you hear Jeh the new Obama appointee that's pushing to have the amnesty for illegal aliens for one of two reasons. And he put a little speech out, and I had the clip, but I'm not going to play it. You can find it on the internet, people. If you found this podcast, you can find Jeff, and he's talking about that we have to do this for national security. You can't have a bunch of people that are undocumented running around having this subculture of people living amongst us that are not. Yeah, so we got to get them. We got to chip them. We got to biometrically identify all of them. They're already here. They're paying taxes, and it's their right because and their privilege. He said they've earned the right to become U.S. citizens, which I think is kind of ironic because. It really, what does that mean? That means you have to pay taxes. They're already paying taxes, but those are the people that are going to be getting paid $15 an hour. So that's going to have a huge devastating effect, not on those people because they will get paid. That's where the free market really does rule. Your trade, your money is only as good as, or the skill that you get is only as good as the money that you pay. And these guys, many of which, the illegal aliens, are getting a lot more than minimum wage. Minimum wage really only applies to people that are, I would think, teenagers, people that should be in jobs that are going through this process in an upward mobile process. Not people
an entry level,
very entry level, right?
Yeah. Or after school, part-time type of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's originally how it was. We didn't have, we had more jobs, honestly, and we had more upward mobility. That's one thing that the president did address, according to all the reports I read today, addressing the inequality that they're building the police state up for, because as we have more of the haves and the have-nots and that divide widening, there's going to be more. Yeah, there's going to be more and more violence in people that are pissed off because they don't have jobs and because, even the bankers now are jumping to their own deaths. So
only in England.
We'll talk about that. But
coming back to this, wait a minute, we can't really talk about that good news on DoomCast. We're gonna have to talk about that.
Is that topic? I don't think that it's off limits to talk about something that. Unfortunate. Isn't it sad that people are actually heralding death and people, accountants at the end of the day? I mean, these guys, they're criminals, but, I think that, each one of these individually, these people.
I say pick a higher bridge, brother. Pick a higher bridge.
This was a 33-story building.
Yeah, not high enough. I want some dramatic.
33? Come on now.
I want some dramatic ground effects.
I think there were some pretty dramatic ground effects. All right, so according to one of the eyewitnesses, after he fell from the 33rd floor, mind you, 33.
Freemasonry.
We had this guy, and this is what most people think of back in the Great Depression. Bankers, basically plunging to their deaths, and well, I mean, is he suicidal? The government thinks that Gabriel McGee killed himself because of natural, or it wasn't necessarily homicide. It wasn't a homicide. That it was actually a suicide. Pretty gross, according to most. And we also have a Deutsche Bank executive, Bill Brucksmith, that killed himself last week, hung himself, which they're saying is not that abnormal or that suspicious. So we've had a lot of these bankers dying over the last, and granted, I mean, if you knew that you're going to be doing some time, you might off yourself. You had that guy that was working for, I think, Lamar, one of those representatives that he was an aide and he got caught with kiddie porn, and he was about to, he's about to do some hard time in a lot of different ways. And he offed himself last week. So. Or that might have been, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have no pity for banking executives in these guys, what they actually knew. I think ultimately they may have been good guys because if they were going to leak information that would be vital in, bringing down or potentially bringing down the likes of J.P. Morgan or Deutsche Bank, then, who knows? Who knows what if they just got depressed about what they had done, then we can say, well, good, because obviously you were guilty. If you're guilty enough to jump off the building, you knew exactly.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Owen. There's a lot more people that kill themselves because of the, I'm not labeling, I'm not tying to these people that killed themselves recently, these banker class that just killed themselves. But I'm saying in general, there's.
Oh yeah, no, that's inappropriate. I'm sorry.
There's people that kill themselves every day in this country and around the planet, directly linked to the circumstances of the actions of criminal bankers. There's absolutely people who kill themselves because they lost everything. They lost their house. They lost their wife. They lost the whole shebang, the whole shooting match because of economic condition of this country.
Yeah.
And so we don't hear about, the scores and scores of that happens every day. There's scores of, there's more people dying in the military via suicide than there is combat. And we don't talk about that every single day. But again, that could be a link could be drawn to the security, the military and financial industrial complex to these deaths being military or just regular people who've lost everything and are down on their luck and they see no other option other than, jumping off a bridge or shooting themselves. So, when I hear about bankers killing themselves, I really don't care. You know what? They whatever was their problem, it was obviously bad enough that they figured they couldn't handle it. So
I only care if they were part of a grand conspiracy that would have brought down the bankers. Other than that,
yeah, I suppose they were the Edward Snowden of the
That's
banking
right.
community.
Why would they be killed symbolically off the 33rd floor? See,
you make me think, Owen. You make me think.
Who knows? Who knows the truth? Hopefully, we will find out more about it. But don't count on the cops looking into it too far.
No,
they're on the payroll.
It sounds like they've already written it off. Like, hey, 75 puncture wounds in his body, but it was he fell on a knife.
We've been talking about the despair. Here's some doomy stuff, and you probably heard about this North Dakota case where this cow thief was arrested and they used a drone to help them out. And I was just thinking about this. I mean, how there is a resurgence of cattle rustling. There's a lot of money in a heifer. You can get $1,000 sometimes for different cows.
Easy. Easy.
Depending on the market, what's going on. And there's going to be a resurgence of this. So I'm just thinking about the dystopian future where you have cowboys using drones, hovering above, monitoring these huge ranches for people like Ted Turner. And we really do have the modern day resurgence of Robin Hoods, where poor people like you and I that can't afford to hunt on the rich man's land, on the federal government's land, will have to steal and hunt illegally on and poach for our own
in the king's
sustenance.
forest.
This dystopic vision of what modern day America is going to be like in just a few years. I mean, just 10 years ago, talking about chips and a biometric cashless society was ridiculous. Now, when we talk about a cashless society, people are kind of excited about it, because it relegates government. You talk about Bitcoin. Yeah, it can be physical. You talk or the other 83 cryptocurrencies, and the trend is moving towards absolutely a cashless society where we don't have so these things that used to be taboo or even being embraced now by those in the liberty movement or allegedly whatever the more enlightened commentary, politically aware people out there, all you seasoned folks that listen to the Doom, all you Doomers, it's becoming more and more apparent that many of those things that seem like crazy kook conspiracy theories from yesteryear are actually just playing out in a very real way, where your TV can look at you and figure out who you are, what TV shows you should be watching, and you're not
every time I go to blacklistednews.com, I'm reminded of technology such as this because I'll get a banner ad for something I looked up 3 days ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How ineffective is that?
It's pretty effective. It makes me look at it.
But it's ineffective because you've already bought the item. That's my complaint. Don't show me what I looked at Amazon or Zappos 5 days ago, because I already bought it. I no longer have interest, so you're not giving me relevant advertising.
Well, but if I'm looking at red dots for my Ruger 2245, did I tell you I got a new 2245?
I heard.
If I'm looking for something along those lines, then the ad that'll pop up, maybe it'll be that exact same thing. Maybe it'll be just something of that ilk. But obviously it's effective, or they wouldn't be paying all this money to do it, and they do pay a lot of money to not to you necessarily, but to have these ad platforms.
Oh, absolutely, they have to be somewhat effective.
Yeah,
somebody has to be getting some money, otherwise they would not continue to do it.
That's exactly right. They would stop because they would go broke. They're not
government subsidized.
Well, most of these corporations are, but
never mind.
Let me jump on to what I didn't finish up with my little ranting about getting globbed onto one topic and then missing some of the story. I kind of did that with the State of the Union last night. I got kind of mesmerized with the MyRA. Did you check into this at all today?
No. Got hypnotized, huh?
Indubitably, I was hypnotized by the MyRA, and it harkened back.
What's MyRA?
MyRA is, I'm glad you asked, Doug Owen. MyRA is something the president talked about and then used his pen to make happen today. Is an investment opportunity. Let me use that word. An investment opportunity.
Sounds like a scam.
Yeah, well, you should be thinking it's a scam, because I truly believe it is a scam.
I've been to one of these pitches before. Next thing you know, you're selling Amway. And if you're an Amway person out there, I'm just joking. They need to change the name.
Listen, Doug, let me tell you, if I sign you up, right, and then you just buy what you normally buy, right, and then you sign, and then it's upwardly integrated. You'll be a millionaire by the time.
Before you know it, you're gonna have a 5-star diamond platform, and everybody's gonna pay you, and you're just gonna drive around in your Corvette. It's gonna be great.
You're a six-figure earner.
Yeah, I mean, that's the OG original Ponzi scheme.
That's right.
I had a buddy that was, we'll go back to the president here and the usurper in a moment.
No, go ahead. But this is interesting stuff. Yeah.
Well, I had a buddy that he would send $1 to this pyramid deal, right? So every month, I think it was actually every week. So that, ultimately you're spending $52 a year, so it's not a big deal. So they can get lots of people to do this allegedly, but the idea is that each of you put in $1. Now, more and more people put in the $1, and as you go up the pyramid, at the point where you get the $1, you'll get like $50,000. Now, it might take you a year or two to get that, but ultimately, your investment is going to be so minimal in comparison when you get up this chart. And I mean, they had, a schedule that showed where you were at and, how much longer it would take before you get to this point. And he did that for years. And I've lost touch with the guy. We just don't communicate anymore. I don't know if
that's
he
because he owns his own island now. He bought with the dollar pyramid.
Yeah, but those things were really popular in the late 90s. This is almost not pre-internet, but pre-popular internet. And this is all done through mail. And
oh yeah, I distinctly remember that. And that's how it was done through mail. You got something in the mail, and you had to you mailed it in, and conversely. One day you would not be the mailer, you'd be the mailee, and you'd get this whole just an S-storm of dollars come rolling in.
There's some guy somewhere that just, had tens of thousands of dollars coming into a P.O. box every day that was just like, all of these idiots.
Yeah, and then the internet foiled it all for him.
Oh no, he was selling 2012 stuff. Man, he's Y2K stuff. I'm sure that there was a lot of other scams that those kind of people get into. There's always a scam. There's always some thing that's coming up that everybody has to prepare for.
For some reason, and I hope I don't make anybody mad here, but it's just an observation that I've made, that I'm not the only one that's made. It seems like Salt Lake City has an overabundance of pyramid scheme type ventures happening out of it. Are you feeling me here, Doug?
Is this a knock at the Mormons because they're already buying?
It might be.
They're already buying into the whole, what's his name, Joseph Smith thing,
rose-colored glasses deal. Yeah. No, it isn't necessarily. whatever the religion is, right, whatever. It just seems that group is predisposed to get rich quick schemes. It seems to me, and maybe it's because I live fairly close to that area.
You're a xenophobe or a bigot. I'm not sure which.
No, I'm a xenobigot, but it. I've seen them all. I've seen them all, man. I've seen the dollar one. I've seen the Amway one. In fact, I've been approached as recently as this week with another new food pyramid scheme.
Right.
Yeah, and it's you buy this, you sign them up, blah 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 blah, and by the time you get up to platinum level, ruby level, gold level, you're a billionaire and you're never working again. And it's like, come on, man. Let's somebody's making money off of it. Everybody's everybody's always just one step away. I'm just one step away from getting the pink Cadillac or whatever the case is.
And that's how they get you, because you know that somebody's making money, right? You just want to be that person. And unfortunately, you don't get into that seat ever.
You never do.
You never do.
You buy product or
now, are you comparing my RIA? What is it? My RA?
My RA.
No,
my RA is more sinister because
okay.
At least when you're getting duped by a pyramid scheme, you have this illusion that you can actually win, even though your odds are better than going to Vegas and probably winning than you are at the Ponzi scheme, pyramid schemes. But no, the My RA scheme is something that I was talking about. That
my retirement account. I'm assuming. Okay.
Yes, like an IRA, except it's a My RA.
I like that. It's rather than yours. It's mine.
Right. It's mine. It's My RA. It's like an iPhone. We're putting a cute little cutesy name to it. But at the end of the day, it's your investing, your retirement, your earnings, your future, your wealth, your labor, your life. Literally,
I already see where this is going.
Yeah, you're giving that money to the government, and the government is guaranteeing you that it won't go away. You're going to get bonds.
I thought we had Social Security. Explain this to me. Did I miss out? Do I have to go back and watch this just to know the next big
you don't.
scam?
No, I'm going to break it down for you right now.
Start stealing more money from me with.
Yeah, let me break this down for you right now, just to make this super simple. Here we go. The government is $16 trillion in debt. It is broke. It is beyond broke. It is getting worse and worse.
The Federal Reserve will forgive them. It's no big deal.
Yeah, okay. So every year it's going to continue to get worse. And at the end of this project that is called crony capitalism, at the end of this system that it has completely dominated, destroyed, and replaced real free market capitalism, that no longer exists. Crony capitalism is what we're experiencing now. When this runs its course, when it reaches its end, it's going to be a government that is completely broke. It's going to be an elite financial class, an elite political class that has the wealth. And at the end of it, to maintain their power, to maintain their control, the last grasp is going to be the wealth, the remaining wealth of the people of this country, which is $5 trillion worth of retirements. They floated this idea, Doug, in 2009 on the tail end of the 2008 collapse. They floated this notion of, we're going to freeze everybody's retirement accounts, we're going to freeze their 401ks, and we're going to take this money and we're going to put it into bonds, and we're going to make sure they never lose it. Why should the people lose their money because of the actions of Wall Street? Well, it was a precursor to My RA, and My RA is going to turn into something, I believe, that's going to be very, very hideous to your retirement future. It will be the government stealing the last $5 trillion of the people of this country and putting it into government coffers and then promising you, a return on your investment of nothing. We'll promise you we'll give you a bunch of bonds that are denominated in U.S. dollars.
Poland tried this. Poland tried this. Didn't work out too well. Yeah, I like to kind of play the contrarian.
Play it.
Well, I mean, I think that we're already here. This is going to be something else that sounds exciting, and I think that they have to roll something new out because most people know that Social Security is broke. They have to have a new scheme, and this is just one of many. I mean, they're going to be monetizing this debt, these IRA plans that they're going to, hold this money for you, and they're going to protect it and do better than the evil Wall Street bankers, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of what we heard coming out of Davos. Now, I didn't have this last week, but I saw Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. He's the head of the UN. And basically, he laid out the whole new scheme for us. Would you like to hear about it, Charlie McGrath?
Please do.
All right. So basically, what he needs is for sustainable development and for the world to become, of course, so we don't, burn up because of global warming and we don't devastate the environment. We have to give over trillions of dollars investment. So he said, quote, the finance community is a key player. We need trillions of dollars of investment to move from the brown to the green economy. So this is going to be the new move, the new shift. We have to get off the coal. We have to get off of the fracademia. We got to get away from all of the horrible things that we're doing with oil and nuclear energy. You got to get away from all of that and get into the new economy. And this is where it's all headed. I mean, he and Al Gore are mobilizing this new UN framework. This is part of Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. The new convention is the UNFCCC, 3 C's, UNFCCC, and they plan on having a global legal climate accord by 2015. So we were talking about those crazy conspiracy theorists earlier in the podcast that believed there was going to be global governance and global taxation and global corporations, enslaving debt serfs, and he kind of lays it all out there for you in basically a very compelling way. They want to create climate bonds. So muni bonds. Detroit, you might have lost. If you're investing in Chicago, you're pretty brave. You might be investing in Argentinian bonds. Those might actually go up because the Argentinian peso and the Turkish lira are, not so hot. So you might be able to get some money there. There might be a rebound for you. But climate bonds. Now let's just talk about the derivatives for a moment, Charlie McGrath. How many derivatives do you think that are out there?
Lots.
Unfathomable amounts of
dollar-wise.
Dollar-wise,
the estimates are, high hundreds of trillions to quadrillion.
See that Ban Ki-moon sees the profit potential for trillions of dollars. So you see where all this goes, Charlie McGrath.
Yeah, I do.
This is Bitcoin. The new Bitcoin. They said that they need, he underscored, quote, the essential role private investment has to play in meeting the growing demand for energy and developing the world. Quote, we need in particular to win over institutional investors that collectively manage more than 70 trillion euros of assets. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And, he goes on here, quote, the bulk of these investments are high carbon assets. So basically anything that pollutes is a high carbon asset, and you're going to pay a high carbon price to enjoy that. These investors have the power and I believe the responsibility to help transform the global economy. So they're going to be taxing you in a global way to fulfill this new legal global taxation framework. It's on the horizon, and a lot of people...
What do you think, though? Do you think it's like globalist wet dreams they talk about at these that
it's the backup plan? It's the only thing that they have left. I mean, at some point you look at the devastation. We do have to stop the devastation. People know that. They're going to exploit that, and there is this overwhelming change in perspective, I think, that people are having, and a lot of that's due to the government programming and false scarcity and other things that are being put out in the mix for the general public to pick up on. But I think that people do know that we are hurting the planet, and the next big thing that they're going to exploit is hurting the planet. And I just don't see how that's not a win. 2014, invest in evil. I said it before. Say it again.
Well,
No, I actually, a lot of these things are just total Ponzi schemes, and I think that this is not going to come to fruition. They're not going to get the institutional investors or the government investment that they need. You look at globalist wet dreams. Go look at some of those empty cities in China. Where it was a failed central government
cities.
Policy. You're like, okay, well, that was a bad idea. Now you can find those here in the United States too. You can find neighborhoods that just don't take off, or cities and towns like Detroit that dry up because industry, goes, tits up and out of town.
You can say that on the DoomCast.
Tits up, is that too risque?
It's TU. It's all right. It's
too
fine.
cheeky for the Doomers.
No, it's not cheeky. You're good to go. I'm heading to what?
Taking the kids to Twin Peaks tonight. What? we going over there, Charlie McGrath?
I don't know, man. I don't know what the Twin Peaks reference is. I hope it's something funny because I laughed.
Oh, it's like a Hooters, Twin Peaks.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, we don't have them. We're in Montana. We have, it's all organic here.
You don't have Hooters?
There's no Hooters in Bozeman where I live.
What?
No, sorry, man. There ain't one. I didn't even know Montana has one at all. I'm gonna look right now and tell you. But I
you're
don't
not missing
believe
out. I mean, the wings aren't that great or anything. While you look for your hot wings over there,
Hooters,
and
Montana.
I pondered the new global climate bond economy. I was looking at George Soros. He has this drama with this ex-girlfriend who wants $50 million. And I just thought about it for a moment before the show. It's just one of these things. It's just like
Missoula.
These are the kind of problems that just amaze me that you will never, ever have in your life, that I will never have in my life, where somebody's like, you were a real asshole. I want $50 million. I mean, if somebody said, well, I want $50 million out of Doug Owen, I would just laugh. I mean,
it would almost be a complete. It would obviously be a farce, but it's almost like it's not even conceivable, right?
Inconceivable,
right? It would be the same thing as you running the speed of light. It just, these are the situations that just can't happen.
And how bad does she have to be if you're just going to pay her $50 million to be rid of her? Just like, God, I hate you so much, and you just keep complaining and asking for money. Here's $50 million just to shut up.
Yeah, well, if it's the same thing as you handing 1,000, 1,000 to somebody to get rid. I mean, that's when you look at the value of Soros, that 50 million's nothing. That's nothing to them. That's nothing to him.
It's like
nothing.
That's like a 20.
It's like a 20. Yeah, it's like a new $100 bill.
He's a billionaire. 50 million's not much, but comparatively,
yeah.
But you just realize how epically out of balance and out of whack that really is.
Yeah. There's 1,000 million in a billion. 1,000 million.
Really?
So, 1,000 million in a billion. So 50 million isn't that, you still got a lot of money left. You got a lot of money left.
Yeah. Those are the kind of problems that you'll never have, that people that have it, I can only imagine it has to be kind of burdensome. Not to say that, I wouldn't want money. And if somebody said, here's $1 million and you don't have to kill anybody to get it, you're like, wow, that's great.
Well, and I probably would say that he probably isn't in that category of having all that money without people dying for him getting it. I would be willing to bet there's plenty of people who died because of the mass of wealth of George Soros.
Mm-hmm. You want to, we were talking about propaganda just a little bit, and I just wanted to mention this because I saw this and it was so ridiculous, and it's one of these things that I think you can appreciate. Israel produces pro-circumcision short film to fight opposing sentiments. Here's the problem. People are starting to say, why are we cutting our kids' junk? Isn't that the way God wanted it? Isn't it, normal? And I think that there's probably a lot of ridiculous dogma surrounding the circumcision. And I'm not going to ask you any personal choices that you
Are you going to ask me if I'm circumcised?
No. But I'm going to ask you if you think that circumcision is so important that even if you did believe in it because of Judaism, would you really put together a pro-circumcision video? And can you even believe that's real, that people would actually do that?
No.
That they would actually spend money doing this?
No, I can't believe that. If you're a Jew, right? Yeah, and you're a good Jew, you have to get circumcised. That's accurate, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So either you're a good Jew or you're not a good Jew. But what's with the video? Is it to lure kind of good Jews into getting circumcised, or is it for the rest of the world, the rest of the Gentiles, so they can understand what the circumcision thing's all about? I haven't seen the video.
It's about proselytizing and getting people on board with circumcision again.
I'm on board. I am on board. I don't need the video.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Well, they're saying that this helps prevent AIDS in African villages, and they really care about the third world, and they really want all of those Africans.
Is that true? Does circumcision prevent AIDS?
I mean, I don't buy a lot of those ridiculous kind of outdated, statistics. And maybe it does. I mean, I think if you've got AIDS though, and you're having unprotected sex with other people, I think there's a good chance either way, regardless. You might be able to say statistically, and maybe that's what they did. I don't know if it's peer reviewed or whatnot. And I found out that so many of those things I just took for granted. Marijuana kills brain cells. Well, you start looking back into the study and how it was conducted, and you realize, oh, okay, they just choked these monkeys for 5 minutes at a time with carbon monoxide from marijuana smoke, and then they counted the brain cells and like, by God, if we choke these monkeys for 5 minutes every day.
There's a segue. Foreskin to choking monkeys.
Well, apropos as it may be, but so you look at this study that's from the Reagan era, and you realize, oh my God, this is just some government bullcrap. This is just some ridiculous.
All right, let's break down the last two topics. Yes. Circumcision is, for myself personally, it's an aesthetics thing. I am a proponent of it because it looks ridiculous when you're not circumcised.
Okay.
Just my opinion.
Okay. 2,
the next topic, government statistics are made to be manipulated. They're made to serve a purpose. And especially when it comes to anything that is related to commerce. So if we're studying tobacco and we're studying alcohol and we're studying marijuana, well, two of those have a very, very powerful lobby, right? And
circumcision lobby is pretty darn powerful, apparently.
Apparently it is. All of Israel. They want that. They want that foreskin. They want it gone.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I've always questioned. Why is it such a big deal? Is it really is hyped up? They say yes that there's a benefit to not being circumcised when it comes to pleasure. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, because I'm circumcised and I have been my whole life. Yeah, so how can you really measure that? Be like, oh no, man, I'm really liking it more than you do. Really?
I think it's a bit more scientific than that. I think it's more.
Well, but how do you do that? Okay, well, somebody's in some lab code asking you on a scale of 1 to 10. Pleasure sensitivity, what would you consider?
I would be like, can you do that again?
8. How much am I getting paid for this lab study? I've been up all night. 7, 2, 3. We definitively found out here at the Lerner Institute that people with a bigger,
people with foreskin,
blondes do have more fun. We spent $17 billion from the Troubled Asset Relief Program to find out that buying an iPhone doesn't make you quit smoking. That's a real one.
That's a real one?
That's a real one.
I think we're better served having circumcision videos than we are that.
Well, I'll shoot this over to you directly after the show here, and you can check it out for yourself. You can show your kids.
We're an hour into this thing. We have not talked about anything. What did we do here today?
We decided that minimum wage is probably bad, that bankers jumping off of buildings.
I think if a group of people get together and they call themselves a coalition, right? And this coalition might be a union, and they say, you know what? We've worked hard to learn how to weld, so we're going to have this as a collective, as a group. We're going to have this is the lowest wage we will work for. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think when it's Obama or some other turncoat politician saying, we're going to set the wage at $10 an hour, that's crap, because it's a big country, and there's a lot of different factors that go into why a position is being paid the wage that it is. So
We blew wide open the global tax scheme that no one is talking about, Ban Ki-moon and sustainable development, the furthering of Agenda 21 and global hegemony.
Yeah, you did good there. That was a good job.
What else? I don't know.
We talked about the Ruger
drones chasing your cows. We didn't really talk about it, but as the economy gets worse and worse and worse. Oh yeah, dystopic future. You were talking about the crazy people that are waiting for this event, and then the event being that we live in a world where cowboys have drones with them. That's kind of we're there.
And that was a Susan Posel steering me in that direction on my program tonight. But that story it was the first in North Dakota. It was the first conviction in the United States of a crime with the use of a drone by government. Correct? That's the gist of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because, guys, it's coming here, man. It's coming here. MRAPs in one horse town.
I don't think it's the first though that's happened. I actually have a friend. Here's an anecdote.
Okay.
A friend who was on probation because he and his wife got into a fight, blah, 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 right? Long story short, he had a restraining order put against him, and they had aerial footage of this guy at somebody's house. I forget the whole story, but he had aerial footage and actually had pictures. And that they're not, this is, pretty piddly stuff, domestic disputes and, he said, she said, using the state to attack one another. When you can't use your kids as a bad enough wedge against your ex, then you bring the state in to make everybody miserable. But they had aerial footage, which led me only to believe that they had to have had something. They're not flying a plane around. They're not
Wait a minute. How long ago was this?
This is 8 months, 9 months ago. Maybe even longer. It might have even been, upwards of a year or so.
And it was the state. It was the state that brought this evidence, or was it the ex-wife's lawyers?
No, it was the state, and that's what they used to revoke some bond or probation or whatever it was.
That is scary crap right there. That is very scary.
But
you could see if it was an individual at a certain address, it has to be. You can't say right there it's a traffic cam. Or a well, I guess it could be a police helicopter.
Yeah, but they would.
But that's
spend
a
the
lot
money.
of resources.
Yeah, they don't have the cash for domestic dispute kind of stuff. That happens between people, a lot of people, mostly because of money. That's what it usually comes down to. People in bad positions and not enough resources, screaming at one another, and it just escalates.
And then they just hate each other and want to do everything to see that the other one burns in hell, so they'll make it.
And then we're paying for it because they use the state as their gun. Unfortunately,
let's ban the state. Let's have a state ban rather than a gun ban.
Hey, Florida's along with other states are really pushing to nullify some of these laws. Some of the basically they have a bill that's going through that will basically disrupt federal gun law. So I think there's a lot of stuff that's on the horizon. 2014 is going to be interesting, I think, from a legal perspective.
Economic perspective is going to be extremely interesting as well, as it already has been in the first few weeks of it.
Well, it's always interesting. Money makes the world go round. Does it not?
It does indeed. Listen, next week is DoomCast number 27. We've never missed a week. I'm in Las Vegas for the entire week. I'm there from Sunday till Friday. If any of you Doomers happen to live in the Vegas area, I'm going to be attending the IBS, which is the International Builders Show. And if you want to drop me a message, info@wideawakenews.com, I'll be down in the area. Maybe we can meet. I can meet some of the Doomers. But what are we going to do next week, Doug? I guess I could do it. We could record it live. Fairly late on one of the evenings from the Encore in Las Vegas.
I can call you on your phone. We can do it that way. We do a phoner.
Inner.
It just depends on your internet.
I'm staying at I'm staying at a place that has great internet, so my laptop will probably work. So we'll give it a whirl.
Yeah. If you're not too tired from entertaining clients and going out there and learning about all the new hot building supplies and things that are being sold out there.
Oh, the hot stuff, hot button stuff. No,
a week? That seems like a hell of a trade show.
it's the world's largest, and you know, in years past, it's exceeded 100,000 people that attend. I think in the last couple of years, obviously, since 2008, that number has fallen off. But I think last year they had 70,000 or so. So it's a big deal. It is the biggest in the world. Only 2 places can hold it. Either
are you selling or buying?
I will be selling.
Oh, so you can
I will be.
So if I fly into Vegas, I can watch you do your work, and I can come up there and bug you and hassle you.
You can come up to my my booth, my presentation.
So what do you do when you have international people, like some people from China that actually want to buy your stuff, and they're like, oh, yeah. I mean, do you have a translator?
That doesn't happen.
No?
You got it backwards. You forgot the sucking sound sucked jobs out of this country. Not to. Actually,
don't they have to build? They got to build houses for these people somewhere.
The Chinese are there. There's all kinds of folks from around the world.
They're doing more of the selling, less.
They're
of
doing
buying.
the selling. They're doing the selling.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they import some raw material into China, but they're not really importing finished product. They're doing their own industrial revolution right now. So, but there'll be people there from all over the world, all Europe, Asia, and everybody speaks English, so it's cool. In fact, do
you have to do you learn different hellos and things in different languages so that you just have like a little Rolodex of things? Hi, how are you?
I'm not even kidding you. I have an app on my phone that I can that it plays. Are we slaves of technology? Yep. I literally have an app on my phone where I can type something in and it translates to whatever language I want. That's how I roll.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
And it's going to be interesting. I always
the NSA is like, I guess he's trying to talk to a Chinaman. Look at that. He's not doing very well.
Yeah, we know what he's doing. I'll do a video probably on this. I usually do when I go to these, and because we're all being sold that housing's recovering and we're moving forward and with the economy and all that. But I always get the true story when I go down there, because I'll talk to builders, I'll talk to businessmen from across the country, and I'll get the skinny. So it'll be interesting to report on the Doom.
Yeah,
the
well,
Doomcast,
I mean, if you think about it,
is.
Really, the housing market and the house building market is the basis for everything that you see on CNBC. I mean, almost all of the stock market
absolutely
flows from, are we building more houses today? Yeah. That's kind of
the building
core.
industry is absolutely a major pillar of our economy. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And, there's a big chunk of the population of this country that you included, you're wiring stuff, right? That you're directly tied to the building industry. So,
oh yeah. Yes. And government regulations gives me a job. They force people to put wires into walls. They force it.
As opposed to where?
Well,
like Iraq, when they just run into the street.
If you go to Mexico, rather than using maybe a standard, electrical box, you use tuna cans instead of using MC cable or armored cable or anything else. You can use water hoses. And I have a friend that is bilingual. He was raised in the Valley, which is down close to Mexico, and he would go on big contracts when he was younger into Mexico and do factory work. And he's like, what passes there is amazing. As far as safety and the quality of materials and how they do business, it's just night and day between what we have here. But the nice thing is, you can put your hand against the wall here, and unless you're in a condemned building, good chance you're not going to electrocute yourself or some of the other things that are we take for granted. Does the government have to be so heavy-handed and regulate it and turn it into a huge taxation mechanism and a licensing scheme that's based on arbitrary information? Absolutely not. I mean,
right.
Because I think that we do better job here and that we should have some.
Well, and if in a true free market, right, you would be out of business if you were doing. If quality of the
in
work
a true free market, you'll be putting in tuna cans if that's what the job requires at that place, and that's what they want to pay for. Because that's
no.
You don't think
I don't
so?
agree with that. No, I don't agree with that.
You don't think that if there's somebody like, I'll give you an example, me. I don't give a damn if those boxes are metal or plastic. Now, in a hospital, you can't use plastic. There's good reasons for different types of materials,
right?
Because you don't want toxic chemicals, especially if the building burns. I'm going to go into a long, boring diatribe here, but the difference you see in other places is that where the standards aren't that high, people are going to do what they can. They're going to get away with whatever they can. You go to Bangladesh.
No, I'm not saying that there's going to be. Yeah, if there's always going to be somebody that's going to be, looking to cut corners at the expense of quality.
I see it now with tons of government regulation.
Sure,
I can only imagine what it would look like without any.
I'm talking about in the free market of, I'm going to give you my money, and I'm going to ask a service for a product or service from you.
Sure.
I'm going to either get what I feel is a fair deal or a quality job, or I'm going to get.
You would be doing better to pay your own inspector rather than to rely on a government employee or bureaucrat to look out for you. You would be better.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Is if you're doing shoddy work, well, then you're probably not going to elevate to the position of doing a lot of work.
But if you've ever worked on a construction site and seen how those things, budget to budget, get it done, whatever needs to happen happens kind of mentality.
Absolutely, I've seen it. Yeah. In fact,
it's not necessarily the company that's doing the job. It could be the customer that doesn't care.
And there's look, I have several pallets of a product called a 3M fall protection. Right, you probably use fall protection.
3M ball. What kind of protection?
Fall protection. Have you ever heard of? I mean, you're doing some of these commercial jobs, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where you see the dudes
protection?
working up.
Yeah.
Fall protection is a harness. You wear the harness, and you got to be clipped off when you're above so many feet in case you fall. It saves your life, type thing. And in the last couple of years, it's hit hard with the residential. It's always been for years and years. Commercial code requirements have your guys have to be wearing fall protection and within the government mandate.
Right.
So we have pallets of these things that sit for months and months and months and months.
Right.
They don't move at all. And then suddenly, we'll have in Wyoming here recently, OSHA came through. A couple contractors got $10,000 fines because an OSHA guy drove by, took a picture of somebody up on a roof that was 10 feet off the ground, and he wasn't wearing fall protection. So the enforcement, the old carrot and stick thing, I really, really don't like the way that it forces a lot of small businesses into capitulating to the rules of government from on high.
And it's people like that didn't get the job or felt that wronged that go and rat on you.
Sure, sure.
It's always your competitor, and that happens a lot. Just like my anecdote with the guy and his wife using the state. Same thing happens with contractors and companies.
Absolutely.
They're using the state against one another, and so ultimately,
and when it does happen, and when this does happen, guess what? I sell $10,000 worth of fall protection because everybody's scared to death because they rolled through Cheyenne, Wyoming, and somebody got a fine. So bam, I'm sending half a semi-load of fall protection out to Cheyenne, Wyoming.
I'm a guy that I actually had a construction hat, a construction helmet that saved my life. Absolutely saved my life. This guy was coming down off a lift, and he had a metal conduit bender, a big rigid conduit bender. Looks like
I know what they look like.
Okay,
yep.
So it's this big thing that. So as he was
like
coming
a weapon
down,
of Thor.
Yeah, it looks like a weapon of Thor. And when he was coming down, it got caught on one of the pieces of metal that's there on the bottom of the lift, and then it came off, and I mean literally thudded me right on the head and dropped from about 5 feet up, and that thing would have split my wing in two. I might have lived through it, but I would be scarred, and
you'd have a colostomy bag.
Yeah, it would not have been good, and so
you would not. I probably would
benefited from safety on the work site.
I think work sites should be safe, no doubt about it. I agree.
That's why I don't go to Mexico and moonlight, because it's
with tuna cans. You're out of tuna cans.
You don't want to be using tuna cans, and
I think there's more lucrative things to do in Mexico vis-a-vis the moonlight than throwing up some wires.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you can work for the cartel.
No, thank you.
Or maybe the
I
government.
only have a 22. That's not enough caliber.
Yeah, you need a lot of those.
Yeah.
It's not
All
the
right,
size.
but from Las Vegas, DoomCast number 27 coming up next week. My
Yeah.
name's Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. My co-founder, cohort, of course, is Doug Owen, blacklistednews.com. Our website together mutually is doomcast.com. Follow us at the Doomcast Show on Twitter. Thank you, everybody, for your support. I greatly appreciate it. Keep the great comments coming in. I'll be live from Las Vegas next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll do it again. And thanks so much again, all of you out there that help us propagate this show by sharing it socially. Please do that and support the show. Go to doomcast.com.
Right on.
All right. See you later, Charlie.
See you, buddy. Peace out, y'all.